the summer of 1953, a nation on the cusp of self-determination was thrust into chaos. It wasn't the will of the Iranian people that sealed their fate. It was the hidden hand of foreign powers. This is the story of how a democracy was overthrown and how its consequences still echo today. To understand the coup of 1953, we must go back to a battle for one of the world's most valuable resources, oil. For decades, Iran's oil fields were controlled by the British-owned Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, now known as BP. The British reaped the profits, while the Iranian people lived in poverty. But in 1951, one man dared to change that: Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh. Mossadegh was a nationalist, a reformer, and a man of the people. He came from an aristocratic background, but his ideals aligned with the working class. His boldest move, nationalizing Iran's oil industry, cutting off Britain's control. This decision was more than economic. It was a statement of independence. The British retaliated with economic sanctions and a global blockade, crippling Iran's economy. British officials referred to Mossadegh as an unreasonable fanatic, unwilling to negotiate. They appealed to the U.S. government, arguing that if Iran were allowed to nationalize its resources, other nations would follow. The British needed help, and they found a willing partner in the United States. In the midst of the Cold War, the U.S. viewed Iran not just as an oil-rich nation, but as a potential ally or enemy in the fight against communism. British officials convinced President Eisenhower that Mossadegh's policies were a gateway to Soviet influence. The solution? A covert operation to remove him from power. The CIA, under the guidance of Kermit Roosevelt Jr., grandson of Theodore Roosevelt, devised a plan, Operation Ajax. Its goal was simple: destabilize Mossadegh's government, create chaos, and pave the way for a pro-Western leader. The Shah of Iran, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, was hesitant. He was young, uncertain, and wary of openly opposing his prime minister. But with US encouragement, he reluctantly agreed to play a role. The CIA funneled millions of dollars into bribing military officials, religious leaders, and journalists. Fake news spread, portraying Mossadegh as a tyrant attempting to dismantle Iran's monarchy. Mobs were paid to stage violent protests, making it appear as if the nation was in turmoil. On August 15, 1953, the first coup attempt failed, and the Shah fled Iran in fear. With renewed efforts, the CIA doubled down. The coup was back on. Military forces, swayed by bribes and pressure, turned against Mossadegh. The streets of Tehran became a battleground. By the end of the day, the Iranian Prime Minister was arrested, his government dismantled, and the Shah reinstated with absolute power. The coup of 1953 was a success. For the US and Britain, Iran's oil was once again under Western control. The Shah, now a US ally, ruled with an iron fist, backed by American aid. But beneath the surface, resentment brewed. The Iranian people never forgot. For 26 years, the Shah's rule was marked by oppression, secret police, and growing unrest. In 1979, the people of Iran finally took back their country, toppling the Shah in a revolution that shook the world. The same US that once propped up Iran's monarchy found itself the enemy. The seeds of distrust planted in 1953 had grown into full-blown hostility. The hostage crisis, decades of sanctions, and ongoing tensions between Iran and the US, all of it traces back to that fateful coup. Before his death in 1967, Mossadegh remained under house arrest, his dream of a free Iran crushed by foreign intervention. But history does not forget. His story serves as a reminder of the price nations pay when democracy is undermined. And the echoes of 1953 still shape the world today. If you have enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe.